So, hello everyone, and welcome to the first workshop of Futurepreneurs 2021. I am Yulia, coordinator of Futurepreneurs, and if you are new here, Futurepreneurs is a sustainability pre-acceleration program organized by Sunrise Valley Science and Technology Park. And while we focus on teams participating in the project, all of our events are also live streamed and available for everyone interested in the topic. So now, without any further ado, I would like to introduce the lecturer of this workshop. So Audronė Alijošiutė-Paulauskienė is a sustainability expert with over 20 years of experience in managing and consulting on sustainable development projects. And during her career, she has helped municipalities, communities, and companies to develop their sustainability strategies, integrate sustainability into their core activities, and facilitate multi-stakeholder dialogue. So today she will share with you her knowledge and insights about sustainability. And Futurepreneurs participants can type their questions in the Zoom chat, and Audronė will address them at the end of the workshop. So Audronė, please, you can share your screen and the virtual stage is yours.
Good evening, everybody. Yes, really, it's nice that we have around 44 participants, around 40, let's say. And welcome to the journey of sustainability. I presume that the word entrepreneurship is becoming like a buzzword. And I truly hope that sustainability is also a buzzword which is known, but I believe that it's also understood in a similar way. I would not say in the same way because we all understand things in a really, really different ways. But within the framework of Futurepreneurs, let me try to unify to get to the common understanding of what do we mean by sustainability and entrepreneurship. And this first session is about problem solving. So basically, yes, let's look what you're solving, how you are contributing to the sustainability with your ideas. First of all, let me introduce myself. Of course, as Yulia introduced, I really have quite a huge experience for more than 20 years working with sustainability concepts, and it's really not easy. And believe even 10 years, 15 years, or even 20 years, it was very difficult to talk to anybody about that. At the moment, I'm working at Baltic Environmental Forum. This is a non-governmental organization. We're a bit crazy, as you can see from the picture. This is the team. We're doing a lot of youth nature festivals, or festivals for young families in nature, in forests. And basically, biodiversity and nature conservation is one of our main topics, but we also do have activities on agroecology, on sustainable business. And we say that we should not be those who say, like, don't do this, don't do that. We're trying to protect nature, not from the people, but together with people, because, well, basically we are part of the nature. And BEF is already operating in Lithuania since 2003. And there are also Baltic Environmental Forums in Estonia, Latvia, and in Germany, very similar organizations, and we do a lot of different common projects in environmental field. Well, you are 45 now. Very quickly, everybody, your most one sustainable habit in the chat, please. Write it down. What is your private one most sustainable habit? What do you do in this world? Not using paper, breathing. public transport, vegetarian, recycling, 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 recycling. It's important. Running, okay, that's right. Yes. Stopping the water while brushing my teeth, recycling, vegetarian, support only sustainable business. Wow, Yeva, great. Recycling, saving water. Yes. Reusing, sharing. Not allowing others to smoke. Vegan and plastic free, Diana. Wonderful. Energy saving. Okay. Trying not to use plastic. Holidays on bike. Buying expensive and durable boots, shoes to wear them for a long time. Excellent. Minimizing waste. My own bags at store. Yep. Yeah. Thank you. Really, thanks a lot. Repairing clothes. Sure. Because fitting style, it's one of the most important waste streams, and we're not managing with it. Cleaning, driving an electric car. Yes. Hybrid car. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much. Not driving. That's right. Thank you very much. If you are having still something, yes, bicycle, not a car, you can just write it down, and I will try to summarize it at the end of about your habits. Yes, in our private life, I think it's not that difficult to be sustainable as in business. Because people tend to behave quite sustainably when they are in their own environment. I've never seen people who would be polluting something around their houses. But when it comes to business, somehow it looks like it's very profitable not to pay for the pollution, and just to let wastewater or trash to go to the forest or to the sea. And I think it's a challenge for every business to combine sustainability, to combine profitability, to combine the living in a contemporary neoliberal world. But that's what you're aiming at within this accelerator, really to create different businesses and businesses of the future. Because Futurepreneurs, it's all about creating a business that makes impact, positive impact. Every business makes an impact, but with the word impact, we might mean the negative and positive impact. Usually this negative impact is called, but as well as positive, it's called externalities. It's when some group profits while other groups lose something. But when we are talking about impact within this Futurepreneurs Accelerator, we're talking about sustainable, about positive impact, and what business can create good for the world. Sustainability, environmental protection, Green Deal, it's all about innovations. You probably do believe in that, and we in Lithuania, we are really, really proud of being, according to Global Innovation Index, to be on the 40th place among 141 economies featured in the Global Innovation Index in last year. And is it good or bad to be number 40 along 141 economies? I don't know. I think we may be better. But in principle, innovations now generate about 2/3 of Europe's economic growth. And each euro invested in innovation program can potentially generate like really 10 times more of GDP over the next quarter of the age. If you would look, if you are interested, just check Global Innovation Index, because it provides quite comprehensive information about the situation in Lithuania. And I was wondering with one fact that we do have money. The institutions are ready to support innovations. What we lack ideas and we lack human resources. So you are really in the right place, in the right time. The money is definitely available. Of course, you have to prepare a business plan. Of course, you have to develop convincing idea to convince investors or those who are approving projects. But you are in time, because it's never ever earlier it was so important. These are encouraging trends from the last year. They're indicated by Greenpeace Group. They are evaluating sustainable business every year. And they say that environmental, social governance ratings, this is how how business evaluates, how business measures the sustainability. The largest investors are paying more and more attention to those ratings. The more you disclose of your environmental and social impacts, the more likely important investor will pay attention. That's not only for entrepreneurs, that's for all businesses, the rule for all businesses. Our food systems are becoming more and more sustainable. I'm not saying that they are sustainable. The average number of kilometers from the grown food to the food distribution places, it's still quite big. And EU just started implementing the strategy from farm to fork, how to decrease the travel of the food. Sustainability, it's not only about traveling, transporting food, it's also about sustainable agriculture. It's also about agroecology. It's about completely different understanding of the farming. Farming itself, it might be really, really bad for environment, but at the same time, it may support systems because it may really provide better conditions to survive for biodiversity. Because we would never ever go back to that level of biodiversity that was before industrial period. All new businesses, they are paying attention to the energy source, from where they are getting energy and what kind of energy it's supplied. And more businesses and households, they are purchasing the clean energy. And I truly believe that some of you also, you are using already green energy at your homes. It's very good message that in Lithuania we can do that already, because several years ago it was possible only for businesses, and since this year all private households are also able to purchase renewable energy. More and more businesses are making quite ambitious commitments, zero net carbon commitments. Europe announced that by 2050 it will be a climate neutral continent. But some companies, they are announcing those targets, and they announced already for 2020. Some companies announcing for 2030, and they're doing that. They're really doing that. If we're talking about the primary emissions that generated by the production process, it's more difficult with supply chain. Definitely, it's more difficult with transportation. We do not have those innovations in place yet, or they are not accessible for all businesses. But I think this zero goals, they will be more and more important. More brands are talking about plastic waste cut. And in here, I would like to pay attention to the bioplastic. I think many of you know that plastic is wrong, and then you have to replace it, you have to substitute it with something. And many people go for bioplastic. But please be careful. Already for more than probably 7 or 5 years, we know that there are some additives in bioplastic that produces the same problems. They create the same problems as plastic. And if traditional plastic, we know how to recycle, we know what is in it. Some bioplastic, the content of bioplastic is not known. So be really careful. And when choosing bioplastic instead of plastic, you have to be cautious, you have to be very knowledgeable and try to find the information about from what bioplastic made. Is it really recyclable? Because otherwise we will have polluted soils and we will not solve the problem at all. Banks and insurers, they are really factoring climate risk into loans and policies, because this is becoming more and more important. Electrification of the transportation, that's happening right now. In Lithuania and Vilnius, we have Spark, the carpooling system where you can share the car, you can rent a car, electric car. And I think this is what I was dreaming about 10 years ago. In principle, the car sharing, it's a very big step in Lithuanians, in the big step of the consumers of the Lithuania. And I think young people are really looking differently at the car sharing than the older generation. Whenever I was saying like 15 or even 10 years ago that we will have car sharing system and that will solve a lot of problems, people were saying like, come on, I want to have my own car. And looking at the sharing system growth, I would say that it's flourishing. Yes, and carbon tech products are having new markets, and this is diversification of business. These innovations are really, really, really very important. Some of you mentioned as a habit the reuse. I would not to be very radical, but I would say that recycling, it's not a solution. Recycling, yes, we have to recycle what we are not able to reuse. But at the moment when recycling rate is so low, we're recycling up to, well, the best recycling numbers, I'm talking about country level, we are recycling, like, let's say, only 10% of the plastic waste. Otherwise, it just disappears. Or look at the word recycling. Returning to the cycle, meaning that you have to, you are taking raw material and you have to return it to the cycle. It has to be used again. But if for this recycling you need huge amounts of energy, you need huge amounts of additives and sometimes not so innocent additives, then it's downcycling. This is not recycling. And let's say how we recycle most of the IT technologies right now, computers, printers, we just smash them. Of course, we take away the metals, what are the most expensive, and then it just goes to the road work. While real recycling would mean that we're changing just one piece of it, let's say, of the phone, but not the whole phone, because now the phones are designed to be old already in 2 years. You just have to have new phone, not because you want the new phone, but you are not able to use all its features, or if you are really having a lot of apps and you're doing a lot with your phone, so then it doesn't work. So the trends are encouraging, but at the same time, we have to look at also at the other aspects. I really like the Citra. This is the think tank of sustainability in Finland. Unfortunately, in Lithuania, which is just a small note about sustainability management in Lithuania, we have environmental ministry who is responsible for the implementation of sustainable development strategy. We have Ministry of Foreign Affairs who are following how we are implementing sustainable development goals. And we have Ministry of Social Affairs and Labor who is responsible for the sustainable business. Quite a lot of ministries, should be very good synergy, but it's not happening. In Finland, we have established a think tank of experts of different profile specialists who are working with really different issues. And Citra presented mega trends that will be influencing businesses. It's first of all the aging population and diversifying. And I think everybody, if you would compare how much of how IT technologies are used by your grandparents and by your parents. And when you will be of the age of your parents, you will probably be also using a lot of different technologies. So they have to be adjusted to the aging population. The relation power is strengthening and centralized decisions are combined with broader engagement. We have more and more different ways of how we create strategies, and probably it's not anymore allowed for the government to create strategy alone. Be also very active, try to be involved in all possible decision-making processes, because that will be all the time more and more trendy, and that will really make the world different, because I think your say is very important and you have to participate in the decisions. Technologies is becoming, they are everywhere basically. IT world, artificial intelligence world is growing in an extremely rapid way. If you have been listening to the presentation in the opening about the future, about the 2050, so probably everybody imagined the same, that artificial intelligence definitely will be a huge part of your life. Current economy is based on the idea that we have enormous amounts of resources, and economies tends to grow, and we're looking for growth. But I think in the future economy, we'll have to change the direction, because resources are limited and we cannot grow for forever. And that will be change in consumption. And I think these pandemic years, they also shown some trends, and we will see the conclusions from what we can see right now. So why sustainability? Why it is important? First reason is that we're getting more and more people on this planet. I've been lecturing exactly 1 year ago to Futurepreneurs groups, and we've increased a bit. The world became a bit bigger during the year. So despite all pandemic situations, despite all viruses, the number of population is still increasing. So all 7 billion people, they want the same quality of life. They really want to use the same amount of resources. They want the same quality of environment. They want equality. They want to be respected. They want to be dignified. Well, and in here we have a problem that at the moment the rights are not equal, definitely. Another aspect, looking at the time scale, let's have a look at a geological time scale. Um, 4.6 billion years ago, it was a big bang, and the Earth became a solid body. And we can see from the different geological layers the history of the Earth. So now we're living in so-called, we thought that we're living now in Holocene. Holocene means the age after the Ice Age. And during this tiny period, you can see this, the last part, this really small part, we're taking fossil fuel, which was generated during Paleozoic and Mesozoic by our Mother Earth during 500 million years. All fossil fuel, it means carbon, gas, oil. And now we're just in 200 years, we're taking it away and putting it, burning it or making things and putting it to the air. In principle, this is not fair from the point of view of the future generations. We don't know for what we will use fossil fuel in 200 years, in 300 years. But now we're trying to take everything. Most of the countries on whose territories there are oil resources, they are building their budgets on that, on the fuel that we will take off from the earth, and they are taking credits. So basically, afterwards, they are forced to take that fuel from the earth and to sell it, and we're using it. So sustainability tells us that we have to satisfy our needs now, but we have to think about future generations because we don't know what they will need. And more scientists are saying that now we're living in Anthropocene, not Holocene. The first articles came out in 2011, 2012, and now we're having more and more proof that we're living in the age of the man. We transfer rocks, we build dams, we take a lot of natural resources, and we have open mines. In the lower middle picture, it's a Tunnelbocca beach rock in Italy, and it's a huge layer of 12 meters of the different industrial waste which is buried. And in 1 billion years, if somebody will be looking at these rocks, they will see that we've been here. Nuclear power. Yes, this is an innovation. It was an innovation several tens of years ago, and we misuse it. We really misuse it because it's also one of the things that will be visible in rocks. So we are living in Anthropocene, in the in the age of humans. We're making huge imprint, and this is not possible to continue on the same pace. We really have to find solutions, and we have to find complex solutions. I do believe that it's very good to be vegan. I do believe that it's very good to use public transport. I do believe that it's very important to sort the waste, but this is not a systematic change. We need systemic changes if we want to survive Anthropocene and if we want future generations to have the same quality. And this is not anymore the story from NGOs or the story from several scientists. World Economic Forum presents every year the map of the global risks. And in here you can see the risks from 2000 to 2020. As you can see, if in 2007, economists didn't see environmental risks as a very important. Now, in 2020, it's green. Environmental risks are among the most important. And we finally understood that the survival of economy depends on environment. There is no other way. And climate now tops the risk agenda, and economy, it's only number 5. So basically, finally, in the last years, when we see evidence of the impacts, we are changing, and we started already doing really systematic changes. Just one more picture from the World Economic Forum report. The global shapers, what kind of long-term risks they are seeing. So basically, also there is no economic as a risk. If looking at closer at the topics of environment, so it's biodiversity loss, it's climate action failure, it's water crisis, which is also societal issue, not only environmental issue. It's human-made environmental disasters. It's extreme weathers. This is the consequence of the climate change, because some people do believe that when we're talking about climate change, we say, oh, it's not warming. We have such a cold winter. Climate change, it's not about overall warming. It's about global warming. And global warming means that the overall temperature of the Earth should not increase more than by 2 degrees. But at the same time, the biggest issue we should deal with, and especially that will impact businesses, is extreme weather, because business have to adapt to it. And of course, we still have some geopolitical crises like weapons of mass destruction. We have natural disasters. We have food crises that are also connected very much with the environmental issues, because they are connected to biodiversity loss, infectious diseases, which are obviously now we're seeing, and they're also very much connected to biodiversity loss, because with this number of population and with this extinction of species, because according to the WWF data, since 2007, we lost about 70% of the species. And that means that viruses and microbes, they're looking for other good places to live. Everybody has a right to life on this planet. And yes, the last one, technological risk, it's cyber attacks, and they are happening. They're happening right now, and we have to be very careful with that. So as an entrepreneurship, you may be pessimist and you may just do business as usual, because this gives a very quick profit. And if your business is for 1 or 2 years, so never think about sustainability, because you cannot do that in such a short period. But sometimes pessimists might be well-informed optimists. And if you understand the sustainability, if you see the opportunity, you may really, really have quite a good economic benefit from it. Let's go back a little bit still. So like really 40 years ago, 40 years ago, like now we know that it's a problem, and we see that World Economic Forum is saying about that, the governments are putting the sustainability issues on the agenda. We as consumers, we also know what to do. Is it new? Just truly believe this is not a new message. In 1972, the group of economists and mathematicians and some business people, they created the Club of Futurists, the Club of Rome. You can check the clubofrome.org, and you can really see a lot of interesting information. And at that time, they published the limits of growth, where they've said that if we will continue like this, we have 100 years left. Because with the increased number of population, with the decrease of resources, with the high industrial output, with the pollution, with the demand of the food, we will have huge crisis. They put everything into Excel tables. Well, at that time, not Excel, but the mathematical models. But now you can check and do modeling with Excel tables. They're available at the Club of Rome website. You can see that. So we know all that. And it's not only that we know since 1972, in 2014, Melbourne Sustainable Society Institute have published the report where they've checked, they just wanted to see if we really were following the prognosis of the Club of Rome. And yes, we do use resources, maybe like really very similar, as you can see, as it was foreseen. We produce the same, even a little bit more of these services per capita. And the population growth, it's really predicted very well. So there is no good news at all, because we are at the moment, well, 2014 was 6 years ago, but yeah, we are continuing like this. Hopefully in some years we will see changes in these things. And the biggest, really the biggest light, the star in this tunnel, in this quest for sustainability, it's actually the European Green Deal policy, because this document puts high goals for everybody. And that indicates for businesses that you cannot continue even for 1 or 2 years like you did before. You have already to think that the requirements, the legal requirements will be more and more strict, and we have to change the way we're living. This planetary emergency plan, which is announced in 2019, that really changes the rules of the game completely. And if you are starting business right now, it should be sustainable. There is no other way to do business. And in 2015, the world came up with a very simple modification of sustainability. United Nations put all sustainability issues into 17 goals and 169 aims. These goals are, these lines indicate the situation in Lithuania. This is the report of 2000. This is the report of Lithuania, and every country provides the reports. And what is more interesting, that those goals, they might be applied to business also. Each business may select the goal to which it contributes most with its services or production, and it may also make a difference. Every person also may make a difference, and by 2030 we may have different world, maybe not. So when we're talking about business responsibility, some of you wrote in the chat that you are supporting responsible business and you are choosing responsibly produced products. Actually, at the moment, it's still very difficult to see real responsibility, because the quality of reports, at least in Lithuania, it's poor. It's not even sufficient yet. And when we're talking about responsibility, we're talking about agreements among different sectors. We are talking about agreements among generations, because sometimes we have to do something which is probably not that very convenient, not that very good for me, but this is in principle responsibility against other generations. Already a decade ago, United Nations came up with the 10 principles for sustainable business, responsible business, or so-called corporate. Sometimes it's called corporate social responsibility. Sometimes it's called social and ESG, environmental and social governance. That's very liked by different exchange markets. But it's the same. We're talking about the human rights, and we're talking that business should not be in conflict with human rights. We're talking about good working conditions and the possibility for collective bargaining. We're talking about that it should not be in the world compulsory labor. It should not be child labor allowed. It should not be discrimination. We should be very precautious about what we do to environment. We have to be responsible. We have to grow our environmental responsibility and encourage as much as possible environmentally friendly technologies. And business should not be involved in corruption, bribery, and other similar things. So those 10 principles are very simple. It's like the 10 rules of the God, isn't it? It's so easy. But why it's not happening? Because it's not happening. And sometimes we will look at the impacts at one slide, and because you may think like, oh, come on, child labor, this is not possible in Lithuania, but it's possible in the third countries, and you may be buying raw material that is produced by child labor. So when we're talking about innovations, we have to think about responsible innovations. It should be not separate strategy. It should be in the heart of your company, of your business. You should be transparent. You should say, if you fail, say that, and say what you will do to repair it. You have to think about impacts. You have to think about impacts as early as possible and try to have only positive impacts and no negative impacts. But you should also tell about that, and you should not do harm to people and environment in a long term and in a short term, I would say. You will be designing in the next several weeks. You will be working on your business ideas. Think about what kind of impacts you do with your business. First of all, there are activities what you can clearly control. If you are producing something, if you are providing some service, so you are controlling the process. So you may choose from what you are making, what and how you are making, and how long that will last. And maybe you can design a system so that if you produce something, this should not go to the landfill. It goes back to you, and you design things in such a way that you may repair them and make attractive to the consumer again. You may control of what kind of raw materials you're using. You may think, of course, about emissions and about labor issues within your company. You may think about many other things what you can control, but also some services you will be buying. So you will not necessarily, especially in our complex world, you will not necessarily be producing yourself. You might be buying waste management services. And by the way, for instance, according to EU legislation, the companies even are encouraged not to recycle the packaging themselves, but they are paying a certain fee, and we consumers, we put packages into separate waste bins, and then they are recycled for the money what was paid by industry to certain recycling associations. There is Green Dot, or in Lithuania, Žaliasis taškas, pakuočių tvarkymo organizacija, the organization for packaging management. And those organizations do that instead of you. But what is interesting that EU legislation says that, let's say, you delegate that responsibility to your supplier. You're buying the service for waste packaging management. But if this company will place that packaging in the forest, and that happens, believe that really happens, though we think that we're living in the 21st century, So you are responsible also. This company will be fined, but you will also be fined for that, because you are responsible for whom you are delegate. You have to look for really, really responsible suppliers of the services. It might be cleaning services, and the aspects you may look at that, it might be human rights, it might be equal opportunities. For instance, you may buy the cleaning services from the company that employs people with disability, and so on and so on. And there are four type of activities. What you cannot really control that, but you may have an impact on that. The good example would be how, for instance, IKEA is acting. We have a lot of companies in Lithuania who are supplying even some ready-made things for IKEA, but they all have to sign and they all have to comply with the IKEA standards for suppliers. They have special standards. You can check in their website. This is a document which each supplier sign, and they also sign agreement that it might be checked. And IKEA has a huge department, by the way, in Kaunas, who are checking the suppliers all around the world. The same system exists in many banks. And this is how this sustainable business idea spreads. Because how to make sustainable business? You might be like you, to participate in accelerator or not participate, but really to have a very, very good idea, develop it, get investors, and to start your business. And this business will be sustainable from the first step. But we have a number of businesses that are already in the market, and they are not willing to change. So sometimes they are changing because the client is requiring. Sometimes they're changing because the mother company is requiring. And some of those old businesses, they're just deciding to act differently. There are different ways. Well, but you are not. You have to take into account, first of all, in the face of current trends, you really have to be precautious. You have to think if your idea really will not make a negative impact. So those principles are for environment, but I think that could be applied also to the social part. So be precautious. If science didn't say precisely that this is not dangerous, then don't do it. The prevention principle, really measure 9 times and cut on the 10th, because you have to know that all different versions, all different modifications of your business, are you really taking into account all possible impacts and all possible nuances of what you're doing. Remember, polluter pays principle, it works, and if you will be polluting, you'll have to pay. The integration principle, invite different sectors, think about multi-dimensional things, because now it's time when we have to be integrated. We cannot have one sectoral solutions. Environmental damage should be solved at source, because you cannot transpose. You might be saying that I will produce something, it will be some waste, toxic waste or whatever, but I will give it to somebody to deal with. This is not a sustainable business. You have to think about the whole process and think about public participation principle, whom you involve, who will be helping you to understand how to develop the idea in a better way. And just one interesting aspect to think about. This is data from the German Environmental Agency. And sometimes now we are very keen on sustainable solutions, and we think that digitalization of the certain activity, it's a solution. Well, not at all. The greenhouse emissions, for instance, per hour video streaming are quite high if this is not fiber optics. So really dig for information, think about different aspects, because when your project will be evaluated by the investors, by the evaluation commission, they will ask questions, they will ask really, really different questions. So look at all possible impacts, be innovative, look for the newest sources, look for the newest possible solutions. Okay, what problem do you solve and how you will contribute to sustainability? Now it's time for your group work. I know Julia said that you'll be using probably Slack for the cooperating together. And you have an idea, most of the groups, you know what you are going to do. Think what kind of problem you are solving. Are you really contributing to sustainability and how? And what are the causes you are addressing? The next step will be to make a plan how to implement your ideas. But now it's problem solving. What causes you are solving in environmental, social, and economic sphere? Think about negative effects, probably because you might be finding solutions later on. Identify them. Think about causes of causes, why this is happening, and how you will contribute. And in 20 minutes, 6:15, I will invite you to present some of your findings. Please use the time wisely and see you in 20 minutes. Julia, maybe you have something to add, some practical aspects?
No, I think everything's clear. I will write to the participants in the Zoom to have more information on this.
Okay. See you soon. Just to your knowledge, 5 minutes left. In 5 minutes, please come back. Hi, it's already 6:15, so please come with your ideas. And I would really like you to raise the hand and to share the idea you are developing, what problem you are solving, and how you are contributing to the sustainability. What causes did you identify and how you are really doing that? Please raise the hand and Julia will unmute you. Please check your ideas, because that's the most interesting part. Maybe you didn't come up with all causes and all problems you are solving. Maybe you need advice.
Okay, so I see Ivan is writing in the chat, so I will ask you to unmute yourself and just shortly introduce.
Hello, I'm very sorry. I do not have how to make that my screen to see for anyone. How to share it?
Just
Okay.
a second. I will give you permission. So if you would like to share, try it right now.
Okay, so I think that I will not make a time on this. I will tell you better. So our problem is that people cause of the problem. People buying different stuff in the regular, like to say, even retail or other shops. And our mission is to create some kind of app which introduces to people what the product they are buying and what the product consists of different materials of their produced. So we want to people to know what they are buying, so they could have a choice what to buy, what they want to buy, and they will know what the effect their choice will make on the earth. And also our app is solving a problem that when the people will know what they are buying and they want to be more ecological because of the new trend, the companies which produce different products wants to be also more ecological ones, and they need to pay attention to the customer needs and produce more ecological stuff. Also, our app, it is like a try system to create cashback system for ecological products. So imagine, so you can has a cashback from the products you buy just in a regular retail shops like Maxima, IKEA, Rumi, and you can gain on products which are ecological because you has a cashback from these projects, and people will buy these projects more, and the products that no ecological ones will not have some kind of a cashback, and because of some trends and other definitions, it could influence the market. So that's all.
Excellent idea. Excellent idea. And I would like to share, maybe I've wrote to you, but I would like to share with everybody. Yes, I will share with everyone one of the existing apps. It exists also in Lithuanian language, and scanning the barcode of the product. We're talking about solid products, articles, not cosmetics, not household cleaners. You can learn if this product article contains substances of very high concern. So excellent idea, Ivan, and you're making it even more simple. The direction to which you should move, there is concept full material disclosure, FMD, and businesses asked to disclose materials, and there is eco-labeling. And I think the cashback would be excellent idea, encouraging customers. Thank you. This is the consumption idea you are solving, and this is also the business responsibility idea. Excellent. Who else would like to present the idea? Please, Laura. Julia, you should let Laura in.
Hi, yeah, I'm able to unmute.
Okay.
So our problem is adverse effects of plastic packaging in our environment. So basically what we want to do is to create a company that makes packaging, alternative packaging, sustainable packaging, so to say. During this 20 minutes, what we found, the cause or root of the problem is that there is just massive need for packaging, and let's face it, products, they won't come unpackaged, and e-commerce is growing by minutes, and we need to put them somewhere. And plastic seems to be a material that's strong, and it's also powerful, and it's easy to make. This is the cause why there's so much of it. Also, when talking about sustainable packaging, there's still not enough for consumers. So maybe they are uneducated. When you're Googling sustainable packaging, you find so many things, so many different articles, and you can find yourself lost in what actually is true or not. So yeah, that's the problems we found, the causes of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, consequences of that is, I think, is clear in microplastics in the oceans and stuff like pollution.
Yes, and my advice would be, when you will be developing this idea further, like really check the existing solutions, because this topic is very, very hot, and there are so many already going on. So like really think about how not to make one more packaging, but how you could maybe organize information, how maybe you could help for the packaging developers. Maybe you could just be matchmaker, meeting the business who needs packaging and meeting those developers, because I think
yeah, I think what you're saying is what we're sort of thinking of doing, because we have a few companies that we see doing this, but not in Lithuania, and we don't want to steal their business idea, but definitely take some of their.
But if it's in different region and you will just do it differently.
Yeah, and
I think this is definitely the very, very urgent topic, and I still see that Ruta and Simona wants. I think we can take one, or very quickly 2 of you, and that's it.
Okay, the Ruta was first, so
Okay.
Ruta, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
So our problem would be that we produce a lot of waste, especially from packaging. And so our idea is to make reusable packaging, like, for example, make plastic jars, make glass jars, sorry, and make them as a deposit. So basically, like, you get products filled in glass jar, and next time then you buy the same product, you reuse it, those glass jars, you bring back the glass jar, and you get a new one filled in with stuff inside. It can be from grains to soap to almost anything. So we would be offering several sizes of those glass jars, and yeah. So in this way we would be reducing, of course, environmental impact. instance, we would be reusing packaging. Also, we would be producing less rubbish. So in this way, we minimize harm upon ecosystem. Also, it's a sustainable way because it would be shorter distance to consumers, since we believe we could do it directly from the source, from the farmers, from producers do that. And also less energy needed to use to produce packaging, since we produce packaging once and we just clean it up, like reuse it. So it's kind of a circle economy in this way. So that's it shortly. This is our idea.
Excellent, Ruta. But that would be probably the remark for everybody. When you are discovering the sustainability problem, please check already all existing solutions, because then you might really find some unique niche where you can find your own role. The plastic, glass jars, and the deposit system for that. This is already quite an old idea. There are certain obstacles, so I would advise really to contact the waste management organizations and to dig deeper. Where is the problem? Why, for instance, at the moment we cannot return all glass jars? Why not? There are certain obstacles, and you have to go deeper into that topic and to identify the causes much more deeper. Because there are some logistic problems, there are some glass recycling problems, so you are on the right way. Yes.
Can I ask you one more question?
Yes.
But we wouldn't be we would take it back, those jars. So we are thinking to wash them. So it's not that we would be. That's our idea.
Yes, and you have to look at the life cycle of the product, because washing, it's a use of water, and depending on what kind of material was inside, so you require different temperatures and different hygiene requirements exist. So this is okay. Yes, I truly believe that it's possible. But you have to explore this field in depth.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
So, Julia, shall we ask Simona also very quickly to present the idea, really in 5 sentences?
Yes, very quickly.
Hello, everyone. And I will be quickly, I assume. My problem is that children who have to wear special medical devices have no suitable clothes for them. I am concentrated very niche product. I have established a collection for kids who has type 1 diabetes and wear an insulin pump. And I try to look in sustainability through those things. I will mention 4, and maybe you can advise what else I can look for. So I got nervous, so sorry.
Never mind.
Because I'm in a rush. Okay, there is no such clothes, so I'm trying to say that clothes can be not only for the fashion, but they must be and can be functional ones. Another one, I pay a very fair salary for the women who make these clothes, because it's not easy to make them. They are required high quality skills to do. It's a technical cloth. Third thing, I already sorted out and use only GOT certificated fabrics, which are like ecological ones. Then I use trusted resources for packaging, recycling labels, and no plastic at all. It's everything like recycled paper. And the 5th, I educate to make a thoughtful purchase decisions, like not buying just for buying, but to buy the product only if you really need it, and give to your sister or to your brother to donate for somebody and something like that. So it's
Long life.
10 sentence of mine.
Excellent, Simona, and I think that's a really nice nice idea of intersectoral business. This is multi-sectoral business. Have you been considering to use the recycled textile?
No, I haven't been thought about that.
I think what could be also for you, just for the sake of exploring that issue, I would say contact Textile LT. There is social business, social environmental business, Textile.
I know them, Victoria. Yeah, Victoria. I know her. Yeah, I know her.
Okay, so could be also one option. And I think the certification of the textile materials, that's excellent thing.
Mm-hmm.
We will have Julia, we will have mentoring sessions. So I think I could just think a little bit more, because you thought through nearly everything. I think you can clearly identify sustainability goals, SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, you are contributing to. And that could be your piece of marketing. And you may really attract the investors, because though it's a niche, but this is a sensitive topic. And to create a market for the exchange of those special clothes, and as you've said, like not to use once and then throw it away, that could be an really interesting sustainability aspect, like to create a system of exchange, maybe involving not only kids with diabetes, but maybe involving even some other specific. So I see a huge perspective for your business.
Thank you very much.
This is just a start.
Yeah, thank you.
And you may find different groups whom you may employ, and yeah, really interesting. We should talk during mentoring session.
I would love to. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much. And I may steal from you still 7 minutes, because I would like to finalize our session with several slides. Thank you very much for sharing results. That's encouraging that you are thinking about that. And I truly believe that you understand sustainability not as those 3 different spheres, like there is social, environmental, and economic, and we're trying somehow to find as very, very little interaction between them. In my understanding, the sustainability is just our life, because you cannot imagine, you cannot imagine economy without society and environment. You can imagine society with environment, but without economy. But probably none of us would imagine, but probably we imagine easily the environment without society and economy, because it flourished before we were here. And since when everybody, every person, every household, every organization, every region, every nation, every country will understand that the society creates economy. The economy is not possible without equal distribution of the benefits. And we cannot survive as society and as economy without environment. So basically, let's not wait until the environment will show us that we are in a deep pit. Let's act earlier, and let's try to be as possible sustainable as we can. There are different methodologies for business how to act in a sustainable way. This is the example of the Canadian organization, The Natural Step. They act in Sweden, and they have 4 principles of sustainability. We cannot extract more than the earth can safely contain and reabsorb. We should keep ecological balance. We should see the nature as our life supporting system, because we cannot make it worse than it was before us. And it's about equality. Everybody have equal access to the natural resources and equal access, equal possibility to be happy, to satisfy the needs. Another important aspect, remember the ecosystem, because sometimes we're thinking only about one aspect, but we're living in ecosystem. An ecosystem provides services. You can see the numbers of we may monetize in the website of the Ministry of Environment. If you would look even in Lithuanian language, and of course in your own languages and in English, you will find that the countries now are evaluating in financial terms how much ecosystems are providing services for us, and in comparison how much we should pay if that will disappear. And this is an opportunity for sustainable entrepreneurship. You may calculate your ecological footprint. Footprint calculator would ask you several questions, and then you could just imagine how many Earths would be needed if all nearly 8 billion people would live like you. Our habits are very important. And when thinking about the sustainability business ideas, don't forget also social marketing and educational ideas, because I'm working with that issue for many years, and I really didn't know how to convince people to behave in a sustainable way. They got the knowledge, they listen to you, they discuss with you, but how to make behavioral change? So it might be not even hard businesses where you recycle something, where you do something like really changing something, but it also might be some soft ideas how to do that. Look at the eco-design principles. Julia will share the slides. And look at what is eco-design. About 90% of the negative impacts you may prevent when designing the product. The eco-design exists already for maybe also 15 years, but we still have very little things, articles in our daily life that are thought through the whole cycle of the product: raw material, production, packaging, transportation, customer use, and then reuse and recycling. Yes, we do have them already, but not so many yet. These are several examples of circular economy, and these are also, they are started in laboratories, they started as a small businesses, like for instance, self-healing rubber. We may create the polymers that are reversible, and if you break your tire or you break your shoes, they are self-healing. The special polymers may do that. This came from the crazy idea, why not to think differently? Why not to think about how to recycle the tires, but how to make tires repair themselves? We have concrete already, it's sold already, that also has this self-repair function. In 1972, Barry Commoner, one of those members of the Club of Rome, said that there are 4 laws of ecology. In the nature, everything is connected, everything must go somewhere, nature knows best, and there is no such thing like free lunch. Remember that. Think about biomimicry. We are learning a lot from nature. We are copying different features from nature. You can see the shape of the bird, which is used for the production of twigs. We are using the shape of the animals to produce boats. We are using the structure of the butterflies when we want to create invisible articles, because the color we see of the butterflies they're all brown basically, but due to the special structure of their wings, we see different colors, and we're learning from that. We're using, probably all of us have used nanomaterials for cleaning. They're mimicking, imitating the shape of the lotus. Those are small nanoparticles on the surface. Nano, it's 10⁻⁹, that small particles, and from such small particles, all dirtiness just goes with water. We're still learning how those small animals in the semi-desert zones construct their homes. This is termitos, if I'm producing right in English, termites, I think in English. They're building homes, and despite the change of temperature -9 and +40, the temperature inside stays from 19 to 22 degrees of Celsius. How are they doing that? So we have to learn many things. And we have learned already, for instance, how the spiders are producing threads. And we produce silk proteins like spiders, and we produce completely different textile already. We have first businesses of them. Sometimes those innovations might be very simple. This is the example also of circular economy, of the guy who came to Trinidad and Tobago with the goal to buy and sell the coconuts. And they found out that there is a huge problem. There is no pallets for transportation. You need pallets to put all the coconuts. And he found out also that there is problem of the husk of the coconuts, and it's a sanitary problem. And there is very little fair shops in that island. And he decided to produce the pellets for transportation from the husk of the coconuts. There is huge demand for pellets. You see how about nearly 2 billion pellets are needed in Asia for exporting. And if you cut trees, you cause deforestation. It's difficult to transport. You have to do pest treatment, and then you have somehow to burn or to use them somewhere. The cocoa pellets produced by this company, at the end of the life, they become fertilizers. And it just, it took several years to develop that business. And you see also the sustainability goals to whom they contribute. You may check their website, how they're developing. So there are different options how you can do that. I would advise also to read a lot of the trends that are happening in the world. For instance, Hello Tomorrow organization, they're talking about where winds are blowing, where you may find possibilities, and take your idea, read a lot, learn a lot about that idea, and then develop it further. It doesn't matter that you will start your business in 2 weeks or in 1 year, but if this is a really well-developed idea, you will find investor at last, and you will build your business. Remember that the most important thing to understand why it's happening. As you can see, as I said, in nature, there is no waste. This nice blooming tree is losing the blossoms, and they're becoming fertilizer for the other creatures. Let your business be like this blooming tree. Create it in a way that Mother Nature would appreciate you. And with this, I would like to finish our lecture, because definitely seeing so many people interested in sustainable businesses, I'm not worried about the future. I believe that we will find solutions, and we will create them. And if not in next year, then in the coming years. But we need to act very fast, and we have to be cautious. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Audronė, for this great workshop. I believe that every participant heard something new and useful, and definitely got inspired to make more sustainable decisions. So if you missed any of this workshop or want to share it with someone, All recordings will be available on our YouTube and on our website, futurepreneurs.eu. And at the same time, next Wednesday, we will host our second workshop about building a minimum viable product. So you will learn how to identify your product's main features and how to test your solutions cheap and fast. So please follow the news on our Facebook page. And Audronė will be our mentor. So you will have a chance to ask her questions in the following weeks. So thank you everyone for joining us today, and see you next week. Goodbye.